So it's December of 2022, and for the past few months, I have probably obsessively been following the social media creations of Deion Sanders and the development of the program at Jackson State. Not because I know the first thing about football, because I probably know less about football than just about anybody. Um, my interest is, just that experience that he's having as a coach. And man, oh man, so much in there that as a coach 3 decades in now, I can relate to building programs, relationship building with staff and with the young people, institutional community relationships, and sometimes struggle with resources and all that, and just really impressed with along with the whole nation, obviously, in terms of what he's accomplished. 2.5 years, do it during COVID. My personal experience, I launched a little Division II athletic program during COVID, and I know the challenges connecting with young people, trying to share your vision, and it's not easy to get the word out. A big part of recruiting athletes to a college campus is getting them there and helping them start to build a relationship with the campus and making them feel at home. Tough to do, obviously, when you're trying to build something up where there wasn't something before. So really, really impressed with what he's done. And caveat here, I'm probably one of the whitest guys in America, right? So, relating to a guy at an HBCU, to some people might, feel cringy. I don't care. I relate to the human being and that coach. I certainly have my own lived experience, but that's a whole other conversation for a different day. What I want to talk about is the news that just broke today. And I don't even know why I'm sharing this, because they say when you have something to say, know who you're trying to talk to, and I don't know who I'm talking to other than myself. But to watch what Coach Prime Deion Sanders has done at Jackson State to uplift that program, to uplift that campus community, and the city of Jackson, to see him be passed over for jobs that he clearly was qualified and deserving of consideration. That's a conversation that someone much smarter than me should parse through. But from the athletic side, I just watched the video of him touring the facilities in Boulder, Colorado University, and they clearly had put their best foot forward. They polished it up. Everything was beautiful, and the juxtaposition, side by side, the resources that they're presenting him as a Power Five, even though they're not at the front of the arms race. It's not a fair fight. Compare that to what he was working with at Jackson State. Underfunded as an institution, just in general down there at Jackson State, but a school and a program that had fallen on hard times in addition. So, but what struck me was a sense of sadness, and it sounds kind of strange. I know it sounds strange to say. Because he's going to get multiples of his compensation package. His assistant coaches are all going to have a great opportunity to coach at a higher level, and have access to resources and all those sorts of things. The sadness, though, was the sense that having gone through enough of those campus walkthroughs, you can tell when something's not right, and the things that make him special, that allow him to win out a top recruit in the country, to build a belief and a passionate fan base. Those things he had at Jackson State, no amount of money, no big dollar donors, whoever they may be, can replicate. Now, of course, you can win over kids with glossy new kit, having a new uniform each week, and having great training rooms and access to all sorts of resources. But the reason why a recruit, a big time recruit, would choose Jackson State, that thing that wins him over, he used to say, don't let your recruits come to Jackson State during homecoming week. And if anybody watched that coverage, he was spot on. You can't buy that with any amount of money. That passion, that love, that energy. And it doesn't matter if it's Colorado. You can pick any Power 5 school out of a hat. I went to a big Pac-12 conference school myself. And, while there are years where you get pretty passionate, you're having a good year, the thing that's baked in the cake that really stirs emotions at a deep level, they have nothing to do with, what Under Armour or Nike or, any equipment or financial resource or anything like that can offer. It's about a deep emotional connection. And it was disheartening. I'm super happy that the lessons, those life lessons that he brought to his team meetings bore themselves out. To use the language of his team meetings, get in a bag, you do the work and the pay will come behind. Focus on the work, focus on your daily grind, and it bore itself out. And so every single person that had the privilege of listening to those remarks for the last couple of years, they can walk away knowing that everything he said was true. But at the end of the day, that the money is not everything. And this might just be a personal thing. I think that, I've said, with some of my coaching colleagues over the years, that people pursue coaching sometimes for the economics of it and sometimes for the accolades. For those of us who have a real heart for it, who, are not necessarily pursuing big dollar contracts, those human connections, building something, of substance that uplifts, that elevates young people. That's why we do it. And that's really I'd say the accolade of it, to have an athlete reach out to you maybe years later, or just stay in touch in general and know that you've affected their life in a positive way. And he certainly has done that. And to that, to come back to the point, it's nice to see the short-term kind of closure on that lesson, that life lesson, that if you do the work, the attention will come. You don't have to bring attention to yourself. The resources will follow. When you do the work, you'll be compensated for it. So all those young men and periphery staff, everybody that had something to do with building up that Jackson State program, is going to walk away with something that money can't buy. As far as Colorado, he's got resources now. So it's like adding an accelerant to an already primed, for lack of a better word there, machine. He's going to enhance what he's done, and he'll have more attention on him right away. ESPN is going to cover it even more now than they would have when he was at an HBCU. But that tour left a really unsettled feeling in my heart. And I think that probably that's shared by a lot of people who followed his story. Excitement, to see his work rewarded as a coach, coaching colleague. You love to see that, to see him be elevated and not terminated. That's great to see people see value in that. But now he's in an arms race. He's got resources. Colorado hasn't necessarily been known as a school that's going out and winning arms races. Resources relative to where he's been looks pretty impressive. But it will be interesting to see what happens now. that he's truly in an arms race in a Power 5 conference. Unfortunately, it's a Power 5 conference that right now is in transition, so we'll see where that all goes. I think he brings more to the job than the job brings to him. I guess that's probably, took me 10 minutes to get to that statement. That's probably the point of why I felt like sitting down and speaking. I wish him well. I wish everybody who follows his story is as touched, as moved by it as I am. I mean, I've never recorded anything like this, and I just felt compelled to sit down and talk about it. He's a hell of a coach. He's a hell of a human being, and he's doing good work. And fingers crossed, I'll continue to be a big fan and watch what he does in this next opportunity.